Welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigeria. I am your host, Daniel Atai. Welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigerian. I am Daniel Atai, and today we shall be looking into the COVID-19 and the state of the nation with focus on the death of Abba Kyari, the Chief of Staff to President of the Nigerian President, Muhammadu Buhari. And before I introduce the guests in the studio, we shall be looking briefly into the history of the man Kyari. Please stay tuned after this timeout. Welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigeria. I am your host, Daniel Atai. Abba Kyari, who had the honor and award of the Order of the Niger, ON, was born on the 17th of November 1938. Not much was known about his early life, but in 1980, he graduated with a bachelor's degree in sociology from the University of Warwick and also received a bachelor's degree in law from Cambridge University. He was called to the Nigerian bar in 1983 after attending the Nigerian Law School. In 1984, he obtained a master's degree in law from the University of Cambridge and later attended the International Institute for Management and Development in Lucerne, Switzerland, and participated in the program for management development at the Harvard Business School in 1992. In 1990, he served as a commissioner for forestry and animal resources in Borno State, after working a while in the law firm of Fani Kayode and Soumimo when he returned to Nigeria. And from 1990 to 1995, Kyari was the secretary to the board of African International Bank Limited, a subsidiary of Bank of Credit and Commercial International. He also served as an executive director in charge of management services at the United Bank for Africa, UBA, and was later appointed the chief executive officer. In 2002, he was appointed a board director of Unilever Nigeria Limited and later served on the board of ExxonMobil Nigeria. In August 2015, Kyari was appointed chief of staff to President Muhammadu Buhari. And on March 24, 2020, it was made known that Kyari tested positive for COVID-19 on March 23, 2020, following an official trip to Germany 9 days before. Kyari is married to the sister-in-law of Ibrahim Tahir and had 4 children. We shall be looking more into his life as a politician, but we will take a little break and with a video clip that we will be introducing to you, and after which I will introduce to you my guest analyst in the studio that shall be looking at the state of COVID-19 with focus to Abba Kyari's death in the studio. Please stay tuned again. Please, let's launch this thing now.
Herbal medicine, also known as a tradomedicine, is the study of botany and the use of medicinal plants. Plants have been the basis for medical treatments through much of human history, and such traditional medicine is still practiced today. A Soma Herbal Institute was established by Solomon Balo Sabina to research into various herbs for the improvement of human health. The Herbal Institute came into full operation on the 20th of March 2000. The Institute, apart from research work, carries out consultation with the aim of administering the products of their research on patients with various ailments.
A researcher into herbs. I'm an architect by profession, but the Nigerian Society of Pharmacognosis saw our work and decided to induct me as a member of Nigerian Society of Pharmacognosis. I believe the only non-pharmacist that is so inducted into that society.
Esoma Herbal Institute is committed to the belief that evidence-based medicinal plants and botanicals have a major and ever-growing role to play in the lives of Nigerians, particularly in the area of public health. Solomon Balosabina, the president and founder of Esoma Herbal Institute, revealed that his herbal products can cure sickle cell anemia, HIV, and the dreaded coronavirus.
In 2001, during the Abalaka era, we call it Abalaka era, we were the only one given opportunity of 2 centers. One is in Niprid, and the other one was taken by World Health Organization to Federal Medical Center Makurdi and used it on full-blown AIDS, 10 of them, according to their report. You see, what we've been discussing is majorly from this herb. And for some of you to show us that it is not that we are hiding anything, as they usually say herbalists do. The name of this herb is Andrographis paniculata. Google and you find what it does in the body.
Esoma Herbal Products becomes the answer to COVID-19 pandemic. We only hope that the opportunity has once again presented itself. Rather than fold up and lock up yourself in fear, the solution is not far from you. Esoma Herbal Product is the answer to COVID-19 pandemic.
Welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigeria. I am your host, Daniel Atai. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, we are looking at the state of the nation, especially with reference to the death of the Chief of Staff to Mr. President, Abba Kyari, who suffered from the infectious coronavirus disease. And with me in the studio to look into this, 2 personalities. One an ace journalist in the person of Mercy Joe.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome to Spectacle.
Thank you.
And I have in the studio also the Vice President of the National Youth Council of Nigeria, Mr. Great Felix. Great Felix, you are welcome to Spectacle.
Thank you, my pleasure for having me.
Thank you. I will begin from you, Great Felix. It's a sad one, the COVID-19 hit on Nassau Rock. Our dear Chief of Staff, Mr. Kyari, passed on the 17th. What could you say about his death from COVID-19, especially in a time like this?
Well, first of all, I'd like to start with my condolence goes to the family of Mr. Abba Kyari.
Exactly.
And to the President of Nigeria, in the person of President Muhammadu Buhari, who just lost his Chief of Staff.
Honestly.
It's unfortunate. It has thrown the country into a realization that COVID-19 is not just its horse, but it's real, affecting people in real time. My condolence also goes to all the family of the bereaved victim of COVID-19, the pandemic sweeping across the world, ravaging the world without any form of discrimination. And it's a time that the world, unlike ever before, should stand as one and fight this to a standstill, particularly in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a sad one. Our heart goes to the family of Mr. President, Muhammadu Buhari, at this hard time, and to the nation at large. I think Kyari was a man that you could say is a loyal man to the core, who could take the bullet even for his master. Mrs. Joe, what would you say about COVID-19 and the death that just been recorded in Nassau Rock? First death of COVID-19 in Nassau Rock. A terrible one.
Indeed, it's very terrible in your words. It's very shocking. the wake to that, to such a news, because the thing is that there has been a lot of silence about his health. Although there was a report before that he was responding well to treatment and that he only needed enough rest, but it's very unfortunate that it actually had to end in a sad note. So much condolences going to the presidency, because he was a very big person, a very big key, and played big roles to the presidency. Mm-hmm. One would have almost mistook his office for the vice presidency.
Yeah, I know some people say he was the de facto president,
yes,
and not for the vice president.
He was a good person.
Yes.
He was a good person, most especially to the president,
yes,
because he carried out the president's work, both in the outside and within. So we are all familiar with lots of things being done by Abba Kyari on behalf of the presidency. So now seeing that he has passed on, we are thinking on behalf of the presidency, who now takes after him? Who does he put his trust now in?
He was just being, who could Mr. President trust now, because he was the confidant, and as the chief of staff.
I'd like to also add to that before you go.
Okay, okay, go ahead.
I'd like to add, irrespective of the perception people have about Abba Kyari,
yes,
the job he's doing, you may not know the details of such job until you have the opportunity of being in such position.
Yes.
Let me tell you, one of the greatest gifts you can have in life, aside the gift of life, is to have a loyal friend as that of Abba Kyari.
Exactly.
President Muhammadu Buhari has a loyal friend in Abba Kyari. He was about the closest person to him.
Yes.
And I think at this point in time, we must sympathize with the president. The job Abba Kyari was doing, considering the health situation of our president, was more or less very commendable in spite of our reservations in certain areas.
Yes.
But I must tell you that the loyalty he demonstrated to the person of our president, Muhammadu Buhari, is commendable, it's unprecedented, it's historic.
Yes.
And irrespective of the opinion of people, perception that people have about this person, I must say that the president will personally miss his person and the role he played in his government, while we look up to other capable hands who come on board and do better than he did.
Yeah, could you say that service to Mr. President was also accorded to Nigerian citizens from Abba Kyari?
No, I will tell you frontally that it wasn't. His loyalty and his service was particularly to the president.
Okay.
And then the president has the privilege of having his chief of staff. He has the privilege of appointing his chief of staff based on any criteria he deemed personally fit to use in judge or in appointing such person.
Okay.
I want to say that the likes of Abba Kyari are people that have redefined history, are people that our children will rise to, will study their kind of politics, either for good or for bad.
Yes.
He is a historic figure in Nigerian politics.
Yes.
Obviously, he's the most influential politician in Nigeria.
Yes.
But we, as much as influence matters, we must not forget that vanity is vanity.
Exactly.
What matters so much is that what is the opinion of people much after you have left your reign in the corridor of power. That is why you can see today, you go to the streets of Nigeria now, you get a popular opinion about his person and Nigerian politician. I think this is a moment of sober reflection, a moment that they should be remorseful, a moment that they should think back and see life as vanity upon vanity as it is.
At 82, he passed on, and coincidentally, I think he was born on the 17th
of November
1938. 1938, and he died
17th April. It's just very unfortunate that he actually had previous health issues before the COVID-19 came in place.
Yes.
So I think that it was a battle with previous health and the COVID-19 and his age, saying that the range of people dying from COVID-19 are actually the elderly ones, from 50-something and above. So I don't know, do you really think he was actually going to survive from the virus?
Yes, I expected he should have survived the virus, considering the role he's playing in the country. He's a nationalist.
Does his role have to do with the health?
But then that is why we are here today, because the COVID-19 pandemic is in no respect of person. People of his age are predisposed to this predisposed to dying of this disease because of underlying health issues.
Yeah.
Those who have died have underlying health issues, and these are health issues associated with age, with advance in age. So these are already predisposed into suffering, to being a victim of a victim or a casualty in the fight against COVID-19. But I want to say that I also admire his courage. I saw his last letter to the president and the way he was commending the effort of the medical team. You know, I admire his courage, I admire his stand. Like I said once again, our condolences with the family of Mr. Abba Kyari and the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who just lost his very, very loyal and close chief of staff. But I think that this has also a kind of changed the narrative about COVID-19 in Nigeria, because at that moment, as we speak, Nigerians, particularly in the northern part of this country, don't even believe this is a ravaging health issue. They don't even believe it's existent. And why they don't believe it's existent is because the government of this country is not transparent. The government of this country has a major disconnect from the people she's leading, or it's leading. Because people they think it's just a normal horse of government, bringing up issues just to siphon money, of which we believe they are doing.
And of course, some people even using the COVID-19 as a convict pipe as we speak.
Yes.
And for at that, a lot of people, especially like you cited from the northern Nigerian, they will still think that it's a normal business, a normal game, usual game of the government trying to give us a shadow of the real thing. You understand? And then they may not even take it serious. But I think the death that have just hit Aso Rock now will change that narrative. Indeed. That COVID-19 is real.
But do you think that the
hold
lack
on,
of awareness...
Hold on, Miss Joe. I wanted to direct a question to you. That he was on national assignment. And then do you think he fitted into that assignment he went for in Germany before he was infected with this virus?
It
was a national assignment with Siemens on electricity issue to go and discuss the possible neo takeover of a Nigerian distribution company of the disco and supply, such that we'll be having constant electricity as one of the basic amenities. Do you think he was supposed to be there? Now he died, he paid the highest price on national assignment. What would you say about that?
The task was a commendable one.
Okay.
Between the Nigerian government and the Germans. But the thing is that, like I said previously, that one would have almost mistook Abba Kyari's office for that of the vice presidency.
Okay.
The questions most Nigerians have been asking over time was that, could we say that the vice president was just playing a role of a figure, a trophy vice president, while Abba Kyari was actually the real vice president of Nigeria? Because some roles that he has been playing, or he was playing before his dismiss, was actually that of the vice presidency.
Okay.
So in my own take, I believe whatever he did was for Nigeria, but then they are not putting so much focus on what should be done by Abba Kyari and what shouldn't have been done by Abba Kyari, regardless of if he was so close to the presidency that the president always felt that it was to be him to go for this. I know he was virtually almost everywhere with the president, in picture pops, in anything, any regard, he was always with the president. But does it give so much leverage that whatever should have been the duty of another, Abba Kyari always was going to be there?
All right. Do you have anything to say about that, especially the division of labor in the presidency and the constitutional functionality of the way the presidency is designed to work? The president, the vice president, of course the president have his own loyalists, the chief of staff and his cabinet. The ministers are there, which are his cabinet. Do you see any conflict between them and Kyari with regards to his last assignment that he paid the price for?
Yes, I think there was obviously a conflict in the role Mr. Abba Kyari of blessed memory, or in respect of his the deceased, all respect to him. May so rest in peace.
Amen.
there was a conflict of interest and of roles, assigned constitutional roles. You see, upon the inauguration of the cabinet, or the Federal Executive Cabinet, I think the president conferred so much authority on the chief of staff, which did not go down well with politicians and Nigerians. In this second tenure, he wielded so much power that was not constitutionally assigned. As the chief of staff, you even see that there's been this imbroglio, and then this infighting among the cabinet of the president. Here there was a letter was leaked from the office of the NSA, the National Security Advisor in person of Mr. Mogono there, challenging and then trying to call to order the overbearing position of the former chief of staff to the president on national security issue, considering his position as the chief of staff and a civilian. And I think he didn't go down well with both of them. From there, you see, you don't need to be told that there's been a friction between the office of the NSA, the vice president, and then the differences that exist between some ministers. Because in the second tenure of President Muhammad Buhari, you can, as a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you cannot directly meet with the president without going through the Abba Kyari. Yes. That made him about the most influential president. It's not gainsaying. It's all over the place. He was the de facto president.
Yes, the most influential chief of staff.
So much power that is not constitutionally binded or enshrined. It was conferred on him by the president.
Thank you for
and
that.
This detached. This creates a gulf of indifference, a gulf of hate, a gulf of disconnect from the led and the leader,
and created
yes, because it's believed that these are the people that are leading the cabinet, the presidency. These are the people that we Nigerians, we youth of this country, believe that have built a wall between us, between the president of this country, the number one citizen of this country, and the people he's leading. This is a president that enjoys so much support. This is a president that enjoys massive and copious mandate from the people, believing that he was coming from where we were, and he knows who wears the shoes where he pinches most.
No.
So, but then, since he came on board, I'm telling you, there's never a time in the history of this country that youth of this country and the Nigerian people have been so disconnected from the government of the day like under this government. And it's largely, you can largely relate that to the role Mr. Abba Kyari of blessed memory played in this government.
All right, we know there was a disconnect and it created a lot of political animosity, but then we will look into the ravaging effect of the COVID-19 and the heat on Aso Rock, and we'll also generalize it to the casualties we have already on ground. I think about how many?
20.
20 casualties, 20 dead from COVID-19 in Nigeria right now. And there is a cause for us to take precautionary measures and ensure that the regulatory bodies will enforce all the laid down rules that have been discharged and given to Nigerians already. The NCDC and everybody. And I think there is a cause for us to alternatively look for traditional medicine. I heard the minister saying yesterday that they may consider traditional and orthodox medicine as an alternative in the fight against COVID-19.
As a cure?
As a cure. It could be curative, it could be curative.
Or like
because
immune booster.
Yes, immune boosters, we learned African herbs are really dealing with HIV, not to talk of COVID-19. So do you have any adverse view to that?
Yes. I think like we've all said previously and over time, adverts going on about boosting your immune system. But the thing is that I cannot categorically tell if most of these herbal drugs can actually cure the virus. But the thing I can say is that most of our herbal drugs can actually boost our immune system.
Okay.
That is just the truth, nothing but the truth. So I think most Nigerians or people in general should actually divert into going into the villages, the typical bushes, and actually dig up any herbs that can actually go a long way in boosting the immune system. I think that is the only way or the only solution we have for the now.
Okay, do you agree with the minister to alternate for herbal medicine?
For the treatment of the patients?
Yes, it said they are going to look into an alternative drug for the cure for COVID-19, and that will be tradomedicine.
Okay.
Do you support that?
I support it. Anything that is going to make us all well and corona will be gone.
Okay, Mr. Great Felix, judging from the state of our health in the country and with the latest hit now, what could you say to the Nigerian government and under emergency situation? And apart from the federal government, the state government, what advice would you have for them as regard the state of the health facilities?
With respect to, or in response to your previous question,
yes,
I think we should not only, there are countries we model after. We should not just look at these big countries as countries that, as a cash cow that we can make a loan from them.
Yes, exactly.
You understand?
Exactly.
The Chinese, or in China,
yes,
the Chinese have what we call the traditional Chinese medicine practice.
Okay.
They have they call it alternative medicine practice.
Okay.
I'm a Christian.
Okay.
I have a background in science. I hold a BSc. I hold a bachelor's degree in chemistry.
Yes.
I'm also a licensed and a member of Nigerian traditional medicine practitioners.
And you are a pharmacist too.
You can put that there. So why are we talking about this? As a Christian, from the Bible, from the Holy Book, in the book of Ezekiel, I cannot remember the chapter precisely. I'm on air, but God made provision for healing from creation.
Yeah, from herbs. He said herbs and trees. He said the bark of the leaves are what? Medicine unto you, while the fruit are meat unto you.
He made provision for this
Ezekiel
because he knows that in the course of living, in the course of existence,
yes,
in the course of existence, we're going to have this issue. He made this provision from there. I think it's in the book of Ezekiel, I can remember precisely.
Ezekiel 37.
What we're trying to say basically is that this outbreak, the COVID-19 pandemic, has exposed, unlike anything else, the decay in our health infrastructure and health system. Now that its borders have been shut against anyone going out of this country, I'm telling you, this is a major revolution that will change the world forever, and we hope for good. Because more than ever, I think someone, a prominent politician, someone playing a prominent role in this cabinet. What was his name? He's not the chief of staff. How do I put it?
Is it a comrade Festus Keyamo?
No, where he was alleged to say that he did not know that the Nigerian health system was in this level.
That is the SSG now.
The SSG, yes, the SSG.
Mustafa now.
And he came to debunk that statement. Debunking that statement or whatever is baseless. The truth is that our hospitals, when Bill Gates came to this country,
the SGF, not the SSG.
Yeah, the SGF. When Bill Gates came and he said the worst place on earth to give birth is in Nigeria.
Bill Gates said,
yes.
Okay.
Could you say it's an opposition too? Because the health system is in a state of comatose. The health system is not different from being in a mortuary. The health system is not where you can stay and have a free. You know, when you get there, you know the definition of being. Why they refer to health as being wet. Well, what I'm trying to say basically is that this is a time.
I was born in Nigeria and I brought up in Nigeria. I want to disagree with Bill Gates and I want to tell him to.
But it's a challenge on us. But
I know
it's an eyesore.
I understand.
Our health infrastructure and system is an eyesore.
Bill Gates is more or less a capitalist who always want to. In fact, is a fascist. He always wants to have means of putting fear into people.
I agree with you.
To come back, give them a.
But the question is that
is
proliferation. Yes, but
it's a half truth. You can't tell people half truth and say it is true.
I believe that's an encouragement.
No. To say, okay, what about Jimmy Carter? Jimmy Carter was an American president. And he came to Nigeria and he said Nigeria is the richest country in the world.
Yes! Stupendously blessed with human resources and natural resources. And what have been the impact of it?
Where were you born?
I was born in Nigeria.
Where were you born?
I was born in Nigeria.
I was born in Nigeria. And in fact, I was born in the backyard.
Do you really need
not even in the hospital.
Do you really need most of us to go down the lane of how we were born?
I'm not the Indonesian generation.
You really want us to go down the lane of how we were born in Nigeria?
No. He said from the
statement
of Bill Gates that the health system is a place where you could not be born. How could you make a statement about a sovereign nation?
No, I think what he was trying to emphasize was that
capitalist.
it was because of the
fascist.
high mortality rates
Yes.
in Nigeria is very, very high.
Anyway,
what I'm trying to say, let me conclude
yeah,
my point.
conclude your statement.
What we're trying to say is that it's a time, I actually want to commend the NCDC. I think never in the history of this country or since the creation of NCDC, the National Center for Disease Control, that they've been this stretched beyond the breaking point.
Okay.
They have been so stretched that now they need reinforcement, and that is how that has to create an emergency or a emergency need to recruit people into the system.
Yeah.
Because this is warfare.
Yes.
Whether you understand it or not, this is warfare. The death of the chief of staff today has also opened people's eyes that, hey, this thing is serious. Do you understand?
Yes.
We must commend them. So far, so good. They have been very, very dogged in their approach to fighting this.
Yes.
But we are not unaware of the politics they are playing.
Exactly.
Particularly with the case, the alleged index case in Benue State.
All right.
We are not happy with this.
Okay.
Some people are using this as a conduit pipe to get money out of the system.
Okay.
But I want to tell you that no matter the amount of money you get from the system, you should understand that vanity is vanity. Everything is what? Vanity. In this system, this is a fight that you must not fight with the interest of scooping money through any conduit or any system out of the people. This time around, we want to see the NCDC demonstrate patriotism.
Yeah.
We want to see them act like, because what they are doing is not why the military are fighting with firearms, they are fighting also on another front.
Exactly.
This is a pandemic.
Yes.
This is more or less, it could be likened to the Third World War.
Yes.
Because white people are expecting drones and firearms and what have you.
Yeah.
You know, so this we are in a war, and this is a time.
weapons.
This is a time that there must be outright unity of purpose to fight this pandemic, this outbreak to a stop.
Yes.
Look at the whatever from Bill Gates' wife. The
prophecy.
yes, it can be the prophecy of doom.
Yes.
By now, the world is shocked because they were expecting to be jumping over dead bodies in Africa.
Yes.
But God has always been. God knows that the only natural disaster we have in Africa and in Nigeria as the giant of Africa is leadership.
It's leadership and corruption.
Because when this thing was happening to the other part of the world, it was time for us to take defense, to take a defensive post and stand against this thing. Our borders were left for us open. You are talking about people can smuggle themselves through land borders.
Yeah.
And here we are today, you are enforcing lockdown on people without no well-spent palliative measure, and you want people to stay at home. It's an invitation to anarchy.
Okay. Oh no. Well, after this short time out, we'll come back, Mr. Great Felix. We'll talk briefly on that COVID-19 index case of Benue, and then we'll also talk about the palliative measure, even though we are mourning the death of Kyari, and we'll also give room, maybe 5 minutes room for people to react. But let's see this reaction on the street of Nigerians, the commoners. I call it the commoners' reactions.
No, Abba Kyari is a chief of staff to the president, and then we know that the man is a popular man, and the man is a man of integrity. And the man, what makes him integrity is that everybody is looking at the angle of Abba Kyari is wicked, but it's because of he needs Nigeria. He scattered for Nigeria. He is a president. He is a chief of staff to the president under the umbrella of transparent. That is what makes him a good leader. He's a good leader.
Why most people are celebrating his death? Why do you think?
No, most people are celebrating his death because of misleading. Maybe most people mislead who the man is. That is what I think some people are celebrating. But to me, for my own opinion, I didn't see a reason to be celebrating for the death of Abba Kyari, because this man is a man that went with the delegation of NEPA in Germany. Then he died because of that. It is when he went there and then he contacted the disease. So if he died because of Nigeria. I think his death is not the death people will be celebrating.
Can you tell those Nigerians who don't believe coronavirus is real and it's in Nigeria truly?
No, I will tell them they should believe, because if the chief of staff died of coronavirus, we believe the coronavirus is real.
What can you say about the death of Abba Kyari?
Actually, the death of Abba Kyari, like we said, the coronavirus has made him died. So if Nigerians really know that this is a coronavirus that kill Abba Kyari, let us find a solution that people cannot be out so that this thing will not affect Nigerians too much. It's very painful, like we lost a person like Abba Kyari. It's very painful, but God knows the best.
We heard it this very morning. We are so sad about it. The chief of staff is dead, and it's a sad one. But we know by this we know that the coronavirus is real. It's real because he was positive. He was tested positive, and this morning was confirmed dead.
It's a sad news actually, as it's an eminent personality. It's a great man. It's the chief of staff to the president. Actually, we lost a very great man. May his soul rest in peace. That is all we can say. It's a death. Death is death, no matter who it takes. And we are all human beings. We all die and we face it. But we should not celebrate the death of a person.
Welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigeria. I am your host, Daniel Atai. You're welcome back. We are still talking about the death of the Chief of Staff to Mr. President, Abba Kyari. And that is a great hit on Aso Rock. We'll refer that to the index case in Benue State, which we were talking about before we went on a short break. And the lines are also open in case you have any reaction to make into our topic on discussion. And for the benefit of those who are vision impaired, you could call 081 3701 5949 or 070-5432-7616. If you are calling from outside the country, remember to use the country code first, +234. And please, if you call in, try as much as possible to be civil. This is a matter of life and death. It is not a vendetta ground. Thank you. Mr. Felix, we're discussing about the index case in Benue. She has spent about 31 days there. We gathered that the federal government must take due protocol as regard her case being positive, and but she's healthy, strong, and she has been said to refuse taking treatment, insisting that she's negative and she's not trusting the Nigerian government, the NCDC, and even this, judging from the things that happen from Benue, the Ministry of Health, the Commissioner of Health of Benue State, and so on. So would you rather say that her situation is not being handled appropriately?
Yes, I think at this point in time...
That is Susan Okpe.
Yeah, Susan Okpe, Nilawani.
Nilawani.
Yes. I think the case, at this point in time, the United Kingdom should intervene in a case. First of all, the whole case was shrouded and given a political coloration. Okay. And then I think that necessitated the intervention from the Minister of Health, the Director of NCDC, and then the Presidency to transfer her back to Abuja. But something of note was this. When she came to Abuja, she was kept in the National Hospital, and the National Hospital is not an isolation center. I think the isolation center we have in FCT is in Gwagwalada State, University of Abuja Teaching Hospital in Gwagwalada. But then she was kept there. Because Nigeria is so bad. The country is so bad that people don't believe in government.
But they have isolation.
When government say yes, you want to question them. When government say anything, you don't look at it. You take it with a pinch of salt. And I think this should be a moral burden on our politicians and our leaders. The Benue State government was there.
What kind of moral burden?
It's a moral burden that you talk to your followers. The people you lead, the people whose man they keep you and make you who you are.
Okay, honesty
yes,
and expediency.
Nigerians, I don't trust leaders.
Okay.
When they say one, you think the other way around. Anything that comes out of government. Anything that comes from politicians in this country, you must speak it with a pinch of salt. Okay, this woman now, it's believed that the incubation period for COVID-19 or coronavirus is 14 days. In some cases, depending on the strength of the immune system of an individual, it could extend to 21 days.
Yes.
You have kept someone in isolation, or you have enforced self-isolation on someone who came from a high-risk region for 21 days, for over 21 days. And what's the age of this woman? She's about 68 or 60-something years. She's above 60. So by age, by what? That means the World Health Organization is not giving us correct information on this. And the relevant health stakeholders are not giving us correct information on this. Because if you say 14 to 21 days, this woman has not been taking any medication and she has not been showing any symptoms. She's asymptomatic.
And her age is always prone to.
And her age is prone to this. People dying in other countries are people of her age, people younger than her. You've kept this woman, it's more or less like a violation of her right. She's a citizen of she's a British citizen, she's a British citizen. Do you understand? I think this is when the British government should also intervene in her case. Now they've transferred the case from Benue to presidency or to the federal here. And then I read on news last night that they have to confirm or to conduct a test that her viral load is low. No matter how her viral load is low, and with the kind of presentation given to the Ebola, the coronavirus, the COVID-19, it's believed that after having kept her or enforced self-isolation on her for a period spanning 21 days, she should have been manifesting these symptoms, but she's not manifesting it. And this brings to light that how transparent is the NCDC and government about this disease with Nigerians.
They're not giving us the right details.
Because the woman made a video protesting that she's not sick and she's not taking any medication, that she's negative.
I think as we speak, BBC is already weighing into it and trying to make sure that the Nigerian government, the Ministry of Health, and the Director of NCDC do the right thing. Mercy Joe, you have something to say about the issue in Benue State?
No.
Because we are talking about COVID-19 death that hit Aso Rock. Let's remember that. But generally, because of the casualty and the rate at which the contagious disease is spreading, would you advise that she follow due process of the NCDC?
The thing is that what is actually the process of NCDC?
One of it is that once you have been tested, and just to be positive, you should be treated in isolation for 14 days, which is 2 weeks, after which another 2 weeks will be given to monitor you before the discharge. So 28 days she has done that, but the only factor is that she has refused, being treated because she said she cannot trust the Nigerian government, and because of the drama that had played before she was moved to Abuja. And one of the dramas is that she was, proclaimed on air by the governor of the state, His Excellency Samuel Otom, that instead of the NCDC to have announced her as an index case in Benue, it was the governor who announced on a press conference. So because of that, the whole thing could be a manipulation, and therefore she lost her trust in the Ministry of Health, the NCDC, and the FG entirely. So what would you say about that? She has spent 31 days in isolation. Without treatment, she's still strong, healthy. Wouldn't it be nice for them to have discharged her?
Well, Mr. Spectacle, you've already said it all. So, but you're still asking me. So the thing is that, according to the NCDC, for you, if you are having the symptoms from a duration of 5 to 14 days, you should be taken in. You should be treated for it already. But now she has spent about 31 days.
Yes.
This has exceeded by far.
Yes.
And she is still responding well. She's still okay. And psychologically speaking, you're not telling her she should keep being on those medications.
Because they said until she tests negative again, before they could discharge her.
So she's still reading positive presently?
That is what I can't tell.
Because I haven't seen anywhere that they said they did the test again and it actually came out positive.
Anyway, back to the state of the nation. COVID-19 in Benue, the index case, it is left for the NCDC director to do the needful, and the Minister of Health too, to reclaim their dignity and tell Nigerians the truth about what is going on there. Great Felix, the state of the nation, Abba Kyari's death, do you see in some part of the country people speculation have it that some people mistook or misunderstood the office of Kyari as the chief of staff to that of a de facto president? Would you rather differentiate this for them to know that the man was doing his job actually as the chief of staff to Mr. President?
Yes, too. I think we spoke about this earlier, but I think that in the opinion of Nigerians, because we are on the street of Nigeria, we are close to the people because we are the people.
Okay, the angle I'm coming from, let me tell you this. When Mr. President was sick, on the verge of death, it was said that Kyari stood gallantly for him, flew him to London, stayed with him, ensured that his life was guided and protected against all political schemes and what have you in the country. And I think that is maximum loyalty any chief of staff could give to his principal. And today he returned from Germany sick, and the president too paid solidarity, was with him in the hospital before he was transferred from Abuja to Lagos, and from Lagos back to Abuja. Rumor had it that he was transferred to Cuba, but I couldn't get any vivid explanation to that from any media. But today, he's dead. And a lot of people like Kyari was the president of the country, and they were not having their way, especially when the president gave an order or a directive that any cabinet member who wants to see him should see Kyari. That creates a kind of animosity and segregation within the people of Aso Rock and the cabinet of Mr. President. What would you have to say? Was he actually doing his job, or he was, overstepping his boundary?
Yes, I think I would like to put it this way. The perception of Nigerians, particularly because we Nigerians, those of us who are the real Nigerians, who are on the street of Nigerians, who bear the brunt of misadministration, misleadership, and corruption, we have a closer whatever to the people, and we hear these opinions. The opinion of Nigerians is that when they call someone a de facto president, it's more or less like is having an overbearing power. And this power is not constitutionally conferred on him or binded in the constitution.
Yeah.
Do you understand? When the president mandated all ministers to report to the chief of staff, it raised a lot of dust in the air. Yeah. There was so much dust about it. There was so much noise about it. There's never been a chief of staff from contemporary history that is as influential as Abba Kyari. If you are not on his good list, your political aspiration is as good as dead. Do you understand? So he does not enjoy the goodwill of Nigerians. And I think if we are allowed to air our opinion and the truth of the situation, he does not enjoy the goodwill of Nigeria. Even if he's not the person that he is perceived to be, he doesn't have that image before Nigerians.
He was only loyal to the president.
Because his loyalty to the president should by extension be a loyalty to the people of Nigeria.
But it wasn't. Because
the president is a president, because the people of Nigeria gave him a mandate through balloting. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that his position, he created a lot. We knew there was so much friction even between the first family and the office of the chief of staff. There was friction between the NSA office and the chief of staff. There was friction between the office of the vice president and the chief of staff.
Okay.
Or at a point, the vice president went dockside and went mute.
All right.
That was because of the alleged overbearing capacity and influence, political influence of the person of Mr. Abba Kyari, the former chief of staff to the president.
Okay.
And I think you asked a question which I think you should also allow me answer.
Yes, I'm answering.
You asked me that was it right for him to have gone out to seek to lobby and do what have you. Yes, I did. One thing we must also not take out of place is that he died on national duty, in the line of duty. Yes. And for that, I think we must commend him. His loyalty to the president, the position he holds, like I said earlier, if you are blessed with a friend like Abba Kyari, God has blessed you with everything. If aside breath, if you have a friend that is as loyal as Abba, you can't even have siblings that are loyal as this man.
Obviously.
He stood by the president
Yes.
at a time where you couldn't trust anybody with the president.
Exactly.
And that is loyalty. Loyalty is not cheap.
Yes.
This man has paid his price. He died. I think he is a fulfilled man.
Yes.
Dying at 83 when the World Health Organization death rate, whatever age is 70 or something in Nigeria.
He died
82.
82, yeah, 82.
Moving to his 83rd.
So I think that's a good
anniversary.
age. He's achieved.
Yes.
But the truth of it is that what has the Nigerian people has to say about him? What he died in the line of duty. But the duty that took him out, that now is generating debate. Was he rightly positioned to have been on that mission? We have the Minister of State for Power, and we have the Minister of Power, and we have the Vice President, and we have the SGF.
And now he could
But he
have
died
been
in the line of
but
duty.
now he could have been any of them, either the Minister of Power or the State Minister of State for Power, or even the Vice President.
We
to
can
have
say he
contracted
died in the
this
line of
infection.
duty as the Chief of Staff.
Yes.
But was he in a position to have gone on that deal?
Yes.
You answer.
And when he came from, the question is this.
Yeah.
Please, let's put things in the right perspective. When he came back from a high-risk region, what should he have done? Embark on what? Self-isolation. We saw Atiku came out to announce that his son tested positive to the coronavirus or COVID-19. And what happened? His family were tested, and after they conducted about 2 tests from what we learned, and they tested negative. But when he came, he claimed that he embarked on self-isolation. Because this thing, you must protect the public. If you are a risk to the public, if you are tested, if you know you have been to a region that is an high-risk region, and you come moving around, you should be incarcerated in the prison,
I think that was part of the lack of awareness.
Yes, and now if you look at while he was being buried, social distance, like we've been advocating, and the Ministry of Health and NCDC, I don't think a lot of people still believe in the social distance. While he was being buried, some people were still, clumping themselves together.
Not some people, everybody there. I think, and that gives room for litigation as it is now. If you can sue Funke Akindele for violating the social distancing regulation or recommendation by NCDC and government, then you see, you just see it from Maitama to the burial ground. And that means that there could be an outbreak from that, because at this level, it's contagious. Because the social distancing as recommended by NCDC, the National Center for Disease Control, was grossly violated, giving no consideration, and that is putting the public at risk.
All right. Anyway,
these people are just paying lip service to this thing. Our leaders are not leading by example. If I don't think this has happened in any of these death cases we recorded, just look at it today. From now on, the level of awareness, like for those of us who are very active on the media and they have access to televisions and other things, we know that this has already put the public at risk. Not everybody were wearing masks. There was no compliance with the recommended social distancing, which is 2 meters apart. Everybody were clustered up, having handshake, talking, so we are not carrying masks. Right. And this is a disease that violated or a kind of laid down scientific what do you call it?
Now, would you recommend compulsory testing now that it has become glaring that COVID-19 could spread? This compulsory house-to-house testing and quarantine, could you recommend it now?
I would, but the thing is that so far so good. I've only seen about 7,000 plus tests being conducted across Abuja and Lagos. But the thing is that 7,000 plus in just how many days? So before the end, we have like about 250 million citizens in Nigeria. Before they even get to
206 million.
206 million rather. Citizens in Nigeria, before they even get to 100,000, the question should be how many kits are even available to conduct these tests.
Well, what about state government that could invest into it? The state government have the onus to also quarantine their people.
That's why we are saying could, but they wouldn't.
All right. I think that is where Spectacle would love to stop today on Television Nigerian. And don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms, especially on the Twitter platform. We're at TV Nigerian. On Facebook, we are Television Nigerian. YouTube, Television Nigerian. And you can visit our website for more of your viewing pleasure at tvn.news. Please, if you have any comment, be civil, drop it on our social media platform and we'll reply you. The death of Kyari is a big lesson to us in Nigeria, because to know that COVID-19 is a respecter of no power, no wealth, and no influence. Stay at home and keep your social distance if you must.